Hey everybody, happy Friday. Most of you are still sleeping. I'm here waiting to take the dog out for a walk, but I've had some things on my mind, so I thought I'd do a video lesson for today. So happy Friday and good morning or good afternoon, whatever time you're listening to this. First of all, this week's lessons have been pretty heavy, but very important ones to do. And I know there's been some emotion that has come up for several of you, and that's very normal and that's very okay. Even though it's uncomfortable, the only way we can get to where we're ready to change is to acknowledge where we are, and sometimes that is the most difficult part. So it's okay to feel a little bit not okay. I look at change. The change process is kind of similar to the grieving process. So we have to go first with denial and then acceptance and then trying to decide what to do next, and then we do some research and we figure out what it is we can do to move forward, and then we take action, and pretty soon we start to feel better, and sometimes we go back and forth along that continuum, and it's an ongoing journey. So don't be surprised if you take a few back steps during the program, but it's all very good and it's all very healthy and it's all very normal. When you start to feel like that, if you start to feel a little more discouraged, please reach out and talk to me. Send me a private message. Let's schedule a coaching call, whatever we need to do, because it's really important that you acknowledge and feel those emotions, and then it prepares you to move on in a more productive way. So I'm here for you to do that. I would also encourage you to look back at these exercises from time to time throughout the program. It's helpful to look back and see how far you've come. A lot of times when we're focused forward, all we can see is how far we have left to go. So it's helpful to take that little retrospective once in a while, maybe once a month or so. It's also a good idea to keep those exercises in your toolbox so that if there comes a time when you're not sure what's going on or things don't feel quite right, you can revisit those exercises. Maybe your why has changed. Maybe your destination postcard has changed, your vision of what you want. As you move along and you change, so might those things for you. So don't hesitate to go back and redo those exercises when you feel like you need to. And since we're basically learning a new habit, change is a habit. So I hope you're doing your 5-minute habit every day, and I hope that's helping you. I've been getting back into tapping like many of you, and I've been finding that to be really helpful for me as well. So, but I would encourage you to just be patient. The first few weeks we're going to be laying the foundation. The first week is the deepest and the most difficult from a mental perspective and an emotional perspective. But the rest of the next couple weeks will be focused again on those foundational habits that you'll always have to go back to. So be patient with the process. I promise you it works. Stick with it and be as consistent as you can. We're here building these practices. We're learning this new way of being, and change is hard. So in that light, please also don't forget to take time to celebrate. Every day you do your 5-minute habit, or whatever habit we do in the future, take that off on that habit tracker. There's something very rewarding about being able to say, I did it. And don't worry if you don't do 100% of them. Some is better than none. So celebrate every time you have a success, even if it's teeny, teeny, tiny. All right, so that brings me to a really important point. Mindset really, really matters here. And that's going to be one of the things we focus most closely on. When I was doing my coaching programs, I remember they just kept saying, keep a beginner's mindset. Be curious. Instead of being upset that it's hard, or instead of thinking, well, this should be easy, just keep a beginner's mindset. It's possible that you don't know everything there is to know, or it's possible that there's a new way to look at these things that you know but have had trouble processing or practicing. We are going to make a lot of discoveries that may give you those aha moments and help you move forward in a different way from anything you've done in the past. So keep an open mindset, because it's really important to help you make progress. And the other thing I would suggest is, just like I said in the second lesson, is we want to focus on what we want to do, not what we don't want to do. And when you do something successfully, focus on, okay, how can I do a little bit more of that, rather than saying, well, why didn't I do it in this way? So focus on what you can do, focus on what you want to do, and let's leave the negative stuff behind us. You'd be surprised at what a difference that makes. As Henry Ford once said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So we have enough negativity around us, and it's easy to get caught up in that. So let's be positive together. I'm not talking about a Pollyanna attitude. There are things that suck. There are things that are hard, and that's going to happen. But remembering in your brain that yes, you can do this helps a lot to get to the next step. So let's talk about the negative stuff. Who's that person that lives in your head that tells you negative things? If you were part of the Habitudes 30-day challenge in April, you remember there was one day where I posted that we think the same thoughts from day to day. We think tens of thousands of thoughts every day, and about 80 to 90% of those thoughts are the same. So that kind of reinforcement takes time to unravel and backtrack. So start looking at that person in your head. I call her my inner bully, but that mean person that lives in your head that tells you, oh, that's stupid, oh, you'll never do this, oh, look at you, oh, trust me, mine is horrible. If I ever talk to another human being the way my inner bully talks to me, I'm pretty sure I'd be isolated and not have a single other person in the world to talk to ever again. So remember that the self-criticism and the guilt that goes along with that is not helping. But we have to listen to it, because a lot of times it's there to protect you. Your subconscious mind wants to protect you. So what is it that inner bully is trying to steer you away from? What's the protection mechanism? Acknowledge it, listen to the language, and then just tell yourself mentally, okay, stop, cancel, let's go back, and we're going to reframe that statement. And let's reframe it as something positive. This is a difficult thing, and it takes time, because sometimes we don't catch ourselves getting into that spool of negativity. But as you go along, try to listen to that inner critic. Try to listen to what that person is saying to you, and see if you can find a way to soothe it, change it, and switch it over into something a bit more positive. A lot of the things we're going to do may take you outside of your comfort zone, but that's okay, because that's where the magic happens. So a lot of you are doing the EFT or tapping as your 5-minute habit, and I think that's fabulous. And so when these emotions come up, I would recommend finding a tapping script that you can use to help you work through them, because that really makes a difference. It can change the tone of your entire day. So after this week, we'll get to things that are a little bit less emotional, and just take a deep breath, keep looking forward, and you guys are doing so well. I'm really impressed with what you've done so far already. So before I close this, I just wanted to remind you, we have group coaching calls once a week, and I'm scheduling the first one for noon Eastern time tomorrow, which is Saturday the 18th of May. Because it looks like our schedules are not going to mesh all the time, I'll try to offer these calls at different times on the weekends, but Saturdays and Sundays are probably the most likely times. So I'll post a link for the video in the group, and I hope to see you there. Of course, the more people we can get to participate, the better the interaction is. but they'll only be 30 minutes long, and I'm hoping that we'll get to see you there. If not, I will record the calls so you can watch them later if you like. The calls are there for you, so if you can't make it or you can make it, bring your questions, bring your successes, bring whatever topics you want to talk about, and we can address those on the call. Lastly, if you want to schedule your individual calls with me, and I highly recommend that you do, because these calls I don't usually offer in a group. They're usually reserved for one-on-one clients. So those are 1 hour calls, or shorter if you don't have an hour to spare here and there. But we can tailor this program, we can talk about your concerns, we can address whatever's going on with you. So please make sure to schedule that. I sent an email with a link to my calendar. If you need it again, let me know and I will post it. So I think that's it for now. Have an amazing weekend. I hope to see you tomorrow, and work on that mindset, and have an amazing weekend.